very cool. I mean, it looks like an intranet in a box. All right, let's go back. Okay, so thanks for everybody for joining us. We will get started now. So we have Marijn Somers with us today, and I will let you take over and give us a proper introduction. Let us know who you are, what we're talking about, and jump right in.
All right, cool. Thank you so much. So hi, welcome to my session, second session of the day that I'm giving. And this one is all about becoming a road warrior with the Teams mobile app. This is my picture before Corona. So of course, with all the hairdressers closed, I just let it all grow out. So this was my good before picture. I'm coming from Belgium right now, so across the pond, other side of the world. And we were actually, so when I first created this session, it was all about becoming a road warrior, how to use the Teams mobile app while you were on the road. Now, of course, we all know what happened. So we aren't really road warriors anymore. We're now just more like work from home warriors. So maybe this should be the title of this session, like become a work from home warrior with the Teams mobile app, because even when we are working from home, now of course everything is opening up again, but even while we were working from home, the Teams mobile app still has so much benefits, so many cool things there that you can do with that. Let me also open the chat up so that I can watch this as well. Cool. So this is me. You've seen this slide already a few times, but this is important. This is all about Chicago public schools, supporting children to get them proper educated. This is super important. So please, please, please do a donation. This is just important. As well, massive thanks to our sponsors. These are some really cool companies that really want to spend their money to support events like this. So definitely super important as well. And if you go to them, to those sponsors, and ask for the secret word, you might just win the $250 gift card, or as in the raffle later on. I probably shouldn't have to tell you this one, but just as a reminder, if you have privacy issues, do background effects, or just don't turn on your camera. Use the chat, use the emojis that are present. I'm keeping an eye on that as well, so that I can always see what's coming. If you have trouble hearing me, if you have difficulties with my weird European accent, that's totally fine. Just let me know, and then we can turn on the live captions as well. And then just join in. You've probably seen this slide before as well, but visit the sponsors, just come on in, say hello. If you're looking for new projects, for new work, feel free to go to the Open to Work channel and introduce yourself to the recruiters that are listening there. So always a good idea. Just things like we used to do when we were on proper, real events. Now we're here digital, so we need to do those things digital as well. And then the last one before we actually go to the real deal is help the speakers improve. Feel free to let us know what you think about our session, about how we present as well. That's also important, so that we can learn from our mistakes, that we can learn not to say any stop words, or not to flapper with our arms the whole time, something else. So really give us feedback. That's very important. And with that, just a few more words about me, which is of course my favorite topic. So my name is Marijn Somers, coming to you from Belgium. I already said that. Been doing SharePoint for over 14 years now. Of course, last few years full-time Teams stuff. because everybody's going to Teams. I'm most of the time working as a productivity coach. I have a podcast together with this very weird looking man on the bottom, which is Steve Dolby, and it's called Office 365 Distilled, where we always talk about Office 365 governance, training, user adoption, these things, not too technical, and we always end up with a whiskey tasting. So it's more like a bar conversation, and then we end up with some really nice whiskey as well. What I also do is a YouTube series together with Jussi Mori, who is the craziest Finn that I know. If you know any Finnish people, you know that they're all crazy. Now, Jussi is definitely the craziest person I've ever met. And so together we do a series called Blaming the End User, where we are trying to look at all kinds of adoption issues. And we try to pinpoint those issues to the end user. So we really try to blame the end user for all the things that are going wrong. But of course, we fail miserably at that. All right, so throughout the session, I'm gonna switch between my slides and my screen of the phone, which is this one. So if at any point I miss my switch, please yell out, and then I know that I'm doing something wrong, so that I need to switch as well. So let me know if I miss that one. So as an agenda, I've got 5 demos for you. It's going to be a lot of demos. It's going to be a lot of playing around with the Teams app. For the first one is setting the stage. It's really about how to set up your Teams mobile app so that it works best for you. Second demo will be all about activity and chat. The third one would be about teamwork, collaboration. And then I've got 2 demos in slides for meetings and shifts. We're gonna talk a little bit about what's next for Teams, and there's a little bonus as well if we still have time, if we get around to that as well. Now, just like the Teams client app, the mobile app has changed a lot. So if you haven't been opening up your Teams mobile app because you've been working from home and you just have access to your laptop all the time, I really encourage you to open it up and to see all the things that have changed. So a few ones that really are super visible when you open up the Teams mobile app is the new Cortana integration. So now you can do like speech, ask Cortana what you want her to display, like the examples here, like join the meeting or find messages from this person, like the things that you would do in the WhoBot earlier on. Now you can just ask Cortana and she will give you a reply. Easy search, fast meetings, like that Meet Now functionality that has been added. So those are really cool things that we can now do in the mobile app as well. But even with all those changes, even with all the crazy changes that have happened with the Teams ecosystem the last year, when we went from, what was that, 50 or 70 million users last year to 170 million daily users right now. I mean, even with all those changes, Teams is still the hub for teamwork, and the Teams mobile app is still the mobile version of that teamwork application. So communication, collaboration, any kind of third-party applications are there, and you still have the confidence that you can work within the same rules of engagement that you have with the Teams client application on your bigger machine, or your laptop or your desktop. So this is super important. It's still Teams. There are still differences between the Teams mobile app and the Teams client app. We'll touch upon a few of those later on. But this is yeah, you can do like 99% of the work that you do on your client, desktop client. You can also do those with your mobile app. So I really want to highlight a few of those things in my first demo, where we are gonna set the stage. So I've got my phone here with me, and I'm actually showing this on the computer. I'm using the Connect app, which is a legacy app. I've written a blog post about how to reinstall the app, because to demo phone stuff on the screen or in Teams, this is really, I think, still the best app that you can use. I'm using an Android device, so there are differences between Android and iOS. I will pinpoint some out later on. But this is my just my own personal device, my Android device. I've got my Teams app here on my screen, and even before I open it up, so the first thing what you could do is something that Mark Vail showed me last year, is if you long press that Teams app, you actually have this little drop-down menu that comes out. And you can actually say, for example, like the chat block, you can actually give that its own icon. So that instead of opening up the Teams app and then going to chat, you can actually directly open that up and directly go to the chat functionality. So I think that's super cool. So you have all these background items that you can open up if you want. Now, the Teams app, the Teams mobile app, if you've never worked with it, what you will see definitely is on the client app on your laptop, you have that left rail bar. Here you don't have that. Here you have this bottom application drawer. I don't know if I don't think if that's the official name, but that's what I call it, because you can actually open this up as a drawer full of applications. And this is the place where you will see a bunch of really cool, those applications that you know, that you love from your client application as well. And of course you have like little screen real estate on your phone, so you don't have all the whistles and bells that you have on the client app. But what you have here is like 5 little icons that you can set as the premier quick launch items of the things that you're using. So for example, I've got calls here as well. So I've got activity, chat, Teams, calendar, and calls. So what if I'm not using the calls functionality on my phone, but I'm using the files functionality much more? So what you can do is you can then open up that application drawer, and then you can click on the reorder button, and then actually drag that files button on top, and then you'll see that that calls button falls off. And then you just click on save, and now you've got calendar and files on the bottom, and the calls is now under that application drawer. So in this way, you can actually say, okay, this is how I want to work, and these are the quick launch items that I use the most. So that's how you can show these as well. Now, one of the things that I like the most about the mobile app is I'm a consultant. So that means I've got a bunch of customers, and the way how I work is that I constantly switch from tenant to tenant based on meetings I have, based on emails that I get, based on questions that I get. So what I really like about the Teams application is that this allows me to jump from one tenant right to another tenant in just 2 seconds. And I know that the client app it's getting there, but it's definitely not there yet. So the Teams mobile app has had this functionality since day one, and just brilliant functionality. It just allows me to jump super fast. Now, what I also want to show you is that this, while I'm in this tenant, I've got different quick launch buttons. So those quick launch buttons that you can order yourself, these are actually based on the tenant that you're in. So for example, if I'm in this tenant and I am using the calls functionality, I can keep it there. And if I'm not using that in the other tenant, then I can just get rid of that and add something else there. And that's definitely cool. Now, another thing that is definitely cool on the mobile app is, well, this is my mobile phone. This is with me 24/7. It's on my bedside table. Now, if I have international projects, I don't want my phone to go off in the middle of the night because somebody mentioned me in a post somewhere. So what you can do is you can set your quiet hours. So if you go to notifications, there's a bunch of things that you can do right now, and there is quiet time that you can set up, and you can set up your quiet day. So Saturday, Sunday, I'm not working on those days, so I don't want any disturbances then. And then here I can also start and stop. And I really like how this little menu thing works. So let's say 8:45, and it should end at 6 in the morning. So I really like how this little control works. So it's just awesome. So that's how you set up your quiet time. So if you're using your mobile phone, this is super important, because this is actually, yeah, you don't want to be kept up at night because somebody starts pinging you or whatever. And there are some really cool things here that you can do. So for example, when you're active on your desktop, on the Teams application or your desktop, don't let your Teams mobile app ping as well. So that you don't want to have like two rings coming in, things like that. So those are all things that you can turn off and set off here. Now there are a bunch of other things that you can do, a bunch of really cool settings. For example, data and storage. What you could do, for example, is image upload quality. So let's say you're a construction worker and you have to walk around in some kind of construction environment, and you don't always have good access to the internet. Or let's say you're a UPS delivery person and you need to deliver packages, and you need to take a picture every time when you deliver a package as a proof that you've given that package. You don't always have good internet connection. So what you can do here is you can actually say, okay, I don't want that in high resolution, I want that in low resolution. So those are things that you can set up here, things just to make your life a lot easier. And definitely quiet hours is very important in that one. Yeah, let's jump back to the slides. All right, so those quiet hours, there are a few gotchas, and Tony Redmond has made a really good blog post about that. So the quiet hours, they're based on the device time. So if you're traveling, your phone will automatically change time zones, so it will stay on that device time. It's also per device. So let's say you have 2 phones and an iPad, you need to set that up for every of those devices. It's also not working when you're actively using the app. So if you're actually on the Teams mobile app, then pings will come true. It's only for Teams, so it's not working for WhatsApp or whatever. If you set that up for Teams, it's just for Teams. There are settings for incoming calls. An important one is that urgent notifications, they will still notify you. So the urgent notification is where for 20 minutes, every 2 minutes, you get like a notification. Those will still notify you. Those will still come true because those are super important. So instruct your people that if you're working on an international project, to be mindful when they use those urgent notifications, because those will still ring on your bedside table. All right, cool. So let's jump back to the Teams mobile app. And let's go to activity and the chat. So activity is, of course, the place where you get all the mentions, all the things where you need to do something. And what's really cool is you see, of course, some of those things are in bold. So that means that I haven't read them. So what you now can do is just long press and then mark as read. Or, for example, if there's something that you really want to follow up on, like this thing from Mark, I can actually mark that as unread. So let's say that I'm walking to Starbucks. I'm gonna get a coffee, and I'm just browsing through my activity feed, and then I can just read what a person says, and then I really need to do something with that. So then you can just like long press mark as unread, so that later on when you're in the office, when you're on the Teams client, when you have the time to properly give an answer, you actually have all those items unread or read, depending on what you want to do. So that's a very important functionality. Definitely, if you want to start using Teams as a follow-up of email or as an alternative to email, then that is definitely how you want to set that up and how you want to instruct people to start using that. Same thing with chat. So the chat functionality, if you haven't played with the Teams mobile app in, let's say, 6 months, you're gonna be flabbergasted right now. So what you can do is when you go into a Teams chat, you can still type your message like you could in the good old days, but you also have now that little plus icon. And with that little plus icon, you can now just show a bunch of things or add a bunch of things. You can add media files, you can attach files. There's a bunch of GIFs that you can start using right now. You can set your things to priority. You can send your location, which is sometimes very useful. So let's jump back to that UPS delivery person. So I can just share my location, saying, okay, right now I'm right here. So that's definitely a good use case for that. So there's approvals. So I know that Marcin was before me talking about approvals in Teams. So the approvals app is also just here. So you can just start using that as well. There's forms, there's sprays. You can just start using all these really cool applications just right from here. There's the emojis and GIFs. So they're all there. So this really has undergone a big transformation to really pop out more and to have much more of that functionality that you also have in your client app. Now, one of the things that I just love about the mobile app is just the fact that like we're all using WhatsApp. So I know this is a Microsoft conference, but just between you and me, we're all using WhatsApp daily. So one of the things that you can do on WhatsApp is like this swipe to the right, and then you can answer that specific question or that specific message. You can do that in the Teams mobile app as well. So I know they're working on that on the client app as well, that I can just swipe that to the right, and then I can just reply to that specific message. And then you actually see that it's not just a message that I posted, but it's a reply to that question that person gave me. So definitely much better. You also have your text-to-speech functionality that you can use. So that is also always a good one to use there as well. All right, let's jump back to the slides. And so, of course, activity, swipe or long press to mark as read or unread. And then in the chat, you can swipe right for quotes and things like that. Now, I've told you in the beginning of the session, there are a number of limitations. So you're still working with a mobile phone, which is on one hand, awesome, because you can just bring that everywhere. On the other hand, you've got limited screen real estate. So you can't do all the things that you're used to in your client app. So for example, if you're looking at files, like the Files tab, there's no support for conditional formatting. You can't see the metadata. So you can see that on the screenshots here. So you can't see all those extra bits and bobs. And there's no way to create an announcement post. Reply options are pretty limited. You can't post in multiple channels. The Meet Now functionality, that's been solved, so I just strike that through. There are no stickers. There's GIFs and emojis. You don't have the stickers where you can have like insert your own text in the sticker. That's not there. You can't edit a wiki. Hidden themes are a bit more hidden than in the client app. Now, those are things that you can't do, but they kind of make sense because I can't do an announcement post. Yeah, but if I want to do an announcement post, I really want to probably write down a big chunk of text. I don't want to do that on my mobile phone. That's not ergonomically correct. So it would make more sense to do that on a proper client application. And the other things like stickers, I can live with not having stickers. Editing a wiki, who's using the wiki anyway in Teams, right? So I don't really see the problems with these limitations. Now, there are a bunch of extra capabilities that you don't have with the client app. For example, that's super fast account switching. I'm using that all day long because I'm just using lots of different tenants, so I'm switching all the time. Voice messages. I really like the fact that I can also just leave a voice message to someone in the quiet hours. The better reply versus the new button, that has been changed in the client app as well, but the Teams mobile app always had the better reply versus new button so that people wouldn't make those mistakes. So that's super important. You have the swipe right to quote, which is not yet on the Teams client application. It's going to be there at some point, but it's not right there. And one of the things that I didn't demo is the easy answers. So whenever somebody asks you a question, you get that little notification pop-up. And what you now have is like these pre-defined answers that you can give just by clicking on that button. So for example, you see that here in the screenshot where Lloyd says, did you see that message from ... And what I can do automatically with that bit of AI that's behind it is I can just say, okay, yes, I did, or I did, without typing that in. I can just select that answer. And that saves me time, that saves me typing errors. So that's just super cool that is a functionality that we have. So there are definitely a bunch of extra capabilities that you don't have in the client app. Now, on to our third demo is really where we go into teamwork. So I forgot to mention the chat functionality. So here you've got the Cortana integration on top. What you also have is this contact list that's now here ready available. Super useful, and you can also just filter into unread meetings and muted items. So that is definitely very cool. Let's try that Cortana functionality. Show me all the sessions from Daryl. Yeah, that didn't go well. But show me all messages from Daryl. Yeah, okay. It did work, or it did work perfectly before, but of course, when you try to demo stuff, it doesn't want to work. It doesn't want to play ball. But it try it out for yourself. It actually really works pretty well. So in this demo, I want to show you just like teamwork. If we're going into Teams, we're either going to be chatting or in a meeting, or we'll do teamwork. And teamwork is super useful and super easy, even with this small real estate that you get. So I just have my pin channels on top. I have my teams on the bottom, and I don't have my hidden teams. So what I do have is this button, see all teams. And that brings me to the long list of all the teams I have active and archived. And here I can just say, also show this team, and then it will also have that team showing up. So that's the way how I can actually show teams in my your team section. Now I have my pin channels on top, so if I just long press on a channel, I can actually pin that. And if I long press a pin channel, I can unpin it. Super easy. Now, just like the client tab, I can just have my channel names with icons. I can see which channels are private channels, and I can just dive in any channel where I will see my posts, where I will see files, and where I will see more, which is all the other tabs. Now, if I want to add something here, I just have that same possibility or that same menu as I have with the chat functionality. So I've got that plus icon where I can just add a bunch of things, or I can just write something down, or I can play with the emojis to make my point. So that's definitely a bunch of things that you can do. So the files, just as you would expect, you just get your list of files. You can just tap on a file to open it up, and then underneath the more functionality, you just have all the other things. So for example, this is the task, a task tab, which will just load up the task list and just show that to me. We're not going to wait for that. So, of course, when I'm in a specific channel, there's also ways to show notifications on top. So I can just say, okay, notify me for all new messages or replies to my messages. There's also this super useful Meet Now button that is fairly new, that we didn't have before as well. So with this way, I can just very easily create a form. I can send praise. I can do my approvals. So let's send some praise. Let's say somebody has been awesome. Yes, and we'll add that to, let's see who's on the team with me. That's also a good one. Yeah, so the coach is here. Good. So next, and yes, send that. So now that's a praise message that's there. So those other things, they just work just like you would work with those on your client app. So that's just the same thing. All right. So these are the things that I just covered. So if we go to the next meeting, these are just slides because we're kind of running out of time. And I also don't want to go into another meeting on my phone while I'm in another meeting and showing my phone. That would just make things awkward. So meetings haven't changed that much, but they have changed my biggest the biggest thing that I didn't like about Teams mobile app. So if you go to your calendar, you can just see your calendar. If you have a meeting, you can just click on join the meeting, or you can click on that calendar item to create a new meeting. So create a new meeting, you give it a title, you add participants, share it to a channel if you want, give it a date, and then you can just save that. When that date is coming, you can actually click on the join button and you will go to your log in to a meeting screen, just like you have on your Teams client as well. You can choose if you want to show your video, your microphone, or maybe if you want to connect to a Teams room, for example. That's something that you can do as well. So let's say you're walking around on the hall, you say, okay, I want to join the meeting. We've got a Teams room here, so I'll just connect to that Teams room, and then you can just take the meeting in there. Now, what used to happen in the meeting was that you had to choose between seeing the people that you're talking to and the content that they present, and the chat. So you couldn't see both things on the same screen. Once again, limited screen real estate, so that's the biggest issue. Now, they changed that in a really nice way. They actually created a picture-in-picture mode. So when I'm in my meeting, I can actually click on the chat icon, and then my meeting will become smaller and it will become like a little pop-up in my meeting. So then I can see the chat. I can just chat away as well while I'm still watching the people presenting or talking. So I've got best of both worlds right now. And if I just want to jump back to the presentation, I can just click on that little pop-up and that will bring me back to my presentation. If I want to jump back into the chat, I can just click on that chat icon and I'm back into the chat. So I really like how they done that. It's an awesome solution. Now, if you want to share a presentation yourself, you can just do that as well. So you can just say, okay, I want to share something. So what do I want to share? Let's say I want to share a PowerPoint, and then you just have, just like in Teams right now, your OneDrive, your Teams, all your recent PowerPoints that you've created or that you modified. And then you can just select one and it will just start presenting just like you would do on a client device. So that is super useful to do. And also if I turn my screen around, I also got landscape mode, so that I can actually read my own bullets myself if I'm presenting from my phone. Now, this really works if you're only presenting from your phone, if you only have like a PowerPoint presentation that you need to do. So if you need to switch from demo screen to something else, that doesn't work very well. But if it's just about a PowerPoint, sure, why not? You can just do it while you're, I don't know, somewhere out in nature and you have an urgent PowerPoint that you need to give to your boss. No problem, you can just do that. Now, there are a bunch of new things for meetings as well. So one of the things that you have right now is live reactions. So if you're in a meeting, you know live reactions from the client meetings as well. So if you're in a meeting, you can just swipe up, and then instead of, well, so also where you have the share button and all these other buttons, you also have right on the top those raise hand functionality and the heart and the clap functionality. So they're just there as well from the mobile app. So you can just share how you feel about content right there, even from the mobile app. There's also the Cortana integration. So even while you're in a meeting, you can just still ask Cortana questions. You can also invite distribution lists, modern groups, also useful. There's that picture-in-picture mode if you're looking for chat and content that people are presenting. You can find your meeting options here as well, and your meeting views. And there's also a way to join breakout rooms from your mobile device. So all that breakout room goodness where lots of people were waiting for, even with your mobile phone, you can just do that as well. Then the last part is all about shifts. It's about working 9 to 5. I don't know if anyone is using shifts at the moment or has been using shifts. I think it's an awesome solution. Definitely while we're all working from home, or while we were working from home. For example, I had a few organizations that were using their help desk, that they, even when they were working from home, they had an early shift and a late shift, and they would just be using shifts in order to say, okay, those people have to work from 7 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon, and those people need to start working at 10 till 8, something like that. So that was really a good solution to start using shifts, and I definitely encourage you to try that out for all other kinds of places where you need somebody, or where you have a bunch of people and where somebody needs to be present all the time. So shifts is super easy to use. It's actually linked to a team, and you can actually say, okay, this team is using a shift functionality. So everyone in that team is in the shift, and the owner of the team is the manager, who can also play around and approve things. So for example, this is my shift screen. I can just see my current shifts right there. I can also see who else is in the same shift as me. So I can chat with that person if we want to do like, if we want to make sure if we need to bring anything, a toolbox or lunch. What are we going to do about lunch? Okay, pop up. And you can just discuss that. You can also request time off, so that's also a good feature. It's all built in, so you can just say, I'm creating a new request. I'm asking a request. I'm requesting time off, and you can just say, okay, what kind of type does that need to be? What day or all day, and what is the reason? So these are a few of the types of time off that you can ask for. And then the manager gets a notification. They can approve or decline. And then you get a message saying that the manager has approved your time off request. So that easy. Even if you're not using actual shifts, you could still use this for the approvals for time off. And you get a nice overview of that as well. Now, the team shift itself. So if it's time to start your shift, you actually get a view like this, and you can actually start, and then the timer runs, and at some point you can just go for a break. You're on the break, you can stop your break, and then you go back into running mode, and at the end of the shift, you can stop your shift. You need to confirm your timesheet, and you got a nice overview of those timesheets as well. Now, if we're talking about working 9 to 5 and all the work that you do or that we do, is also important to mention the new Viva and the new Viva Insights. I don't know if you've been using it already, but there are lots of functionalities here to really manage your own mental well-being. And one of those things that I found very useful is that how are you feeling functionality, where you can every day just tap on one of those emojis and say, okay, I'm feeling meh today, or I'm feeling really good today. And then you actually can track that on a scale and see if things are going worse or things are getting better, or if you're going through a rough patch. So you can actually see those things. You can also, and you've probably seen that in my activity, that it needs to, that it could ping you every day at a certain hour for you to give some mentions on how you feel. You could also protect your time by setting in a virtual commute. Setting up a virtual commute, or like quiet hours where people, or like, it's not really quiet hours, it's more like the time in a day where you really want to deep dive and really want to work undisturbed. So those are things that you can all set up from that Viva Insights application. Now, what's next for Teams Mobile? So what are things that are coming out? Recently, Microsoft said that they were going to offer end-to-end encryption, just like WhatsApp is doing right now, and applications like Signal, for example, are offering right now as well. So end-to-end encryption. We will also get better views in the meetings, so not just those four-person views, but we'll also get more dynamic views. There will be a way to do Teams casting, where you actually cast with your phone to like Teams room, for example. And there will also be ways to pin chats, pin your favorite conversations, and have more filter options there as well. So there's a ton of things coming. Things that are also rolled out, but that I haven't really been playing with, is, for example, the walkie-talkie feature, something that they announced last year, but I haven't seen it working yet. If any of you did, feel free to mention that in the chat. There are some really cool devices as well for all kinds of specific scenarios, like this head, this hard hat that you can wear if you're in a construction zone, and then you've got your microphone, you've got your camera, so that you can just directly go into a meeting and say, look, this is not right, and you can just show it to the people in the meeting. Now, background blur was already there on iOS. What is also coming is your custom backgrounds. So custom backgrounds was one of the things that everybody was looking forward to on the client app. We have them for quite some time now, and now they're also coming on iOS. I've got no idea if they're gonna come for Android as well, but for iOS they've been announced. So I'm gonna look forward to that. Then, as a little bonus, the Teams Personal and Family. So this is something that also was announced last year, but also I haven't seen a lot of people really using it, while I think that this could really be a really cool use case. So what this is your Teams environment for your own family, for your friends, where you can actually do a lot of scenarios in. So for example, you can connect in a group chat. So, okay, yes, you can do that in WhatsApp. You can make video calls. Yes, you can do that with WhatsApp. You could coordinate schedules. You can put your calendars next to each other. You could share photos and videos. You can share grocery lists with your spouse, for example. Or even better things like store important information, like your Wi-Fi password, like account information. You could store important files there, like the hospital information or insurance cards, numbers, whatever. So you can store all those things in the family app, and everyone in the family has access to those things. So if your son or daughter at school has an accident and they need to go to the hospital, that they can just show all the data that the doctor needs, or the insurance claim or whatever needs to show up. So super cool. Location updates. So I've demoed that earlier to show location updates. These are things that you can show as well. So these are really cool functionalities that you can do within the realm of your family or within the realm of your friends. So as a wrap-up slide, there are lots of benefits for every scenario, for every role. So everyone who is working with Teams, definitely try out the Teams mobile app. It's got awesome features. There's so many cool things that you can do with it. Just don't do meetings while you're driving. That's just not a good idea. And with that, I'm done, and I'll open up for the questions if there are any.